Join Cynthia Alice Anderson for a special one-night-only online event, the Yeshua Dialogues, Monday, June 8th from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Registration is $50 at cynthiaaliceanderson.com.
There comes a time when a window of opportunity opens. And when that window opens, the spiritual work is to walk through it. The issue becomes if you don't take the window of opportunity, it may not open again. Hello and welcome to the Experience of the Soul podcast. My name is Cynthia Alice Anderson. I'm so happy and honored to have you with me. Happy to have you along the journey. And wow, we are having a great time. I've heard from many of you recently. It means the world to me. And Sean and I always feel so blessed when we hear from you and know through your feedback that we are supporting your journey. So welcome to the show today. It is a very special show for me personally and the honoring I'm going to do of a teacher. But first, we want to welcome in Mr. Sean Kilgore. I almost messed up your last name.
You know me. That's all right.
I know you.
I know you.
Yeah. I know
Hello.
you know that I know.
Hello, friends. Welcome. So happy to be here with you. Welcome in for episode 413 of Experience of the Soul, Soul Growth and Evolution. This is part 1 of 2.
Yes.
We're really glad you're here today. As RCA just mentioned, today's episode is going to be shared in loving memory of Jane Elizabeth Hart, who was a respected spiritual teacher, author, and of course, dear friend to Cynthia Alice.
Yeah.
And, she in her lifetime helped countless individuals connect with their own inner light and participate in their own evolution and work in the best interest of their souls.
Yes. Yes. Sean, thank you for saying it that way. Yeah. Thousands and thousands of people over the years. Yeah, she helped. So it is a special day and so happy to be doing this show.
Yeah, so we're honored to honor her today. But first, friends, we do want to start with a heartfelt shout out to one of our listeners, Suzanne Tendler, who left us a beautiful voicemail, and we have her permission to share that with you. So let's take a listen to that right now.
Wanted to tell you how much I enjoyed the podcast this week. It really landed with me in a deeper way. My biggest takeaways were how our thoughts shape everything, that what we're thinking now becomes our actions later. Also, the reminder that the inner must shift before the outer can change, and the real transformation happens through the language of the soul. Thank you so much for your podcasts. I look forward to listening to them every week to continue learning after our Sunday lessons at church. Thank you, Suzanne Tendler.
Wow, that made my day.
Yeah, isn't that really nice?
That absolutely made my day. Thank you so much, Suzanne. Wow.
Yeah. So friends, if you'd like to leave us a voicemail or send us a text message, you can do so by clicking send us fan mail. You'll see that at the top of the episode description on Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, Spotify, YouTube Music, or wherever you're listening from. It is a newer feature that has been added. So you used to be able to just send us a text message. Now when you hit that send us a fan mail, it gives you the option to either send us a text message or send us a voicemail. If you do send a text, make sure you include your name and contact info so we can reach out to you or give you a shout out on the show as well.
Oh yeah. I mean, I felt like, wow, we really elevated that. Now we can play a voicemail. For those of you who've been with me since the beginning, wow, we've come a long way, baby. And in just in just another month, we'll be recording, in the new studio as well. So trying some new things to elevate the experience, for our listeners. So love to have that feedback feature.
Yes. And now, friends, this week in spiritual history, where we are being told something in your life is trying to begin.
Yeah.
Beginning at sundown on Friday, May 22nd, the Baha'i community observes the Declaration of the Bab. This is marking the moment a new spiritual message entered the world. And at its heart, this is really about awakening. It's about that feeling that something is shifting, that you're being called forward in a way that you really just can't ignore anymore. So we hold our Baha'i friends in our hearts during this sacred time.
Absolutely. Once again, there's that Baha'i faith, Sean.
I know. Yep. All right. And then this week also reminds us, you don't grow alone. On Thursday, the United Nations recognizes the World Day for Cultural Diversity and Dialogue and Development. So this is, of course, not tied to any one specific spiritual tradition, but there's something, of course, obviously deeply spiritual at the heart of this. This is really an invitation to listen more closely, to stay open, and to meet one another with curiosity. Instead of certainty being, so this is like about real growth. It doesn't just happen inside of us. It happens when we reach out to others, when we connect with people across cultures, across spiritual paths, with people that are different from us.
It's so true. Gosh, it's so true. And I love these, Sean, because every show we're lifting these up as a reminder to people. And, religion has gotten so divisive and, really has been for as long as I can remember, and even more so, instead of its original meaning, which is to bind together,
Yeah.
So happy to be a part of people in the world that are giving voice to, we love you. We bless you on that journey,
Yep.
Yeah.
Amen. This week, we are also reminded that you already have the words. On Sunday, May 24th, many Christian traditions observed Pentecost. Now, this is the story of the Holy Spirit moving through the apostles, bringing courage, clarity, and voice. So it's that experience of something greater moving through you, where suddenly you know exactly what to say, or you find the strength that you didn't think you had. Those moments that we experience in our lives is really the embodiment of this celebration. It's a beautiful reflection of trust and letting something deeper speak within you.
Absolutely. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah. And our Just for Fun this week asks the question, what if curiosity is actually a spiritual practice? So Sunday, we celebrate National Scavenger Hunt Day. This is fun. This is a simple, playful reminder to like take a closer look, stay curious about what's around you, and maybe even create a little adventure, for your loved ones. Have a little fun. Make a little scavenger hunt.
That's so fun. Well, it's funny because we're going to be talking, more about Jane Elizabeth Hart today. And she was so funny to me. She, as high of a spiritual teacher as she was also one of the funniest people to engage with. So hopefully I can talk more about that today as we honor her life and memory. But I'll never forget like watching like a sitcom with her. I had no idea she would watch such a thing. And she's like, oh, watch the karmic play be played out. It's hilarious.
That's great. I look forward to hearing you talk more about her for sure.
Yeah.
So our journal prompt for this week, friends. Are you avoiding something that might set you free? Telling the truth to yourself on paper, is there anything that you've been quietly avoiding, and what might change if you faced it head on and with total honesty?
Beautiful.
Yeah. And with that, friends, I'll welcome you officially to episode 413 of Experience of the Soul, Soul Growth and Evolution in Loving Memory of Jane Elizabeth Hart.
Yes. Loving memory is a very true, Sean, a great way of saying it. And my friends, I think it's so important to honor our teachers, those who have been with us, those who have supported our journey in a meaningful and powerful way. And I wanted to talk about Jane Elizabeth Hart because on April 4th, she did make her passing. And she had been an extremely important friend, spiritual teacher, and guide for many, many years. And the journey with Jane had many twists and turns, but I met her at a very important time. And I want to share some of my experiences with her, but most importantly, I want to share the spiritual teachings that she gave me. And you will see as I talk about them over the next couple of weeks, how they have informed my journey, my own teaching, and brought enlightenment and peace to many areas of my own life. And if you've listened to the show long, and many of you have been with me since the beginning, I still have a core that have been with me from the very, very beginning. And you will recognize and know teachings of Jane Elizabeth and recognize them in what I talk about, because they run throughout my journey. And so Jane was born December 30th, 1933, and made her passing on April 4th of this year. So when I met Jane Elizabeth, I had just moved to Kansas City maybe a couple of months before. And somebody told me there was a spiritual teacher that I needed to meet. And I said, well, where, how do I find her? Where is she? What do you mean, a spiritual teacher? And they said, well, Jane Elizabeth is kind of a undercover agent for God. And I said, well, I love that idea. And so I found out that she actually worked at Unity Village in the development department, which I thought was so interesting. So I walked into her office and said, hi, Jane, I'm going to be a Unity minister. And she said, yes, you are, honey. Yes, you are. And started laughing, gave me a big hug. And that was the beginning of my work with Jane. We had an instant connection, and I loved her affirmation of my work. And she taught me a great deal. One of the key teachings of Jane Elizabeth is on desire. Desire. And she taught me that desire is the thing that moves us forward on the journey. The thing that moves us forward. Desire is the call of the soul to be more. And of course, we all have desire for basic needs. We have desire for things. But what she was speaking of is a holy desire, the desire for growth. But she also said all desire ultimately is a desire for God. All desire is ultimately a desire for God. Said another way, as I rephrased it, God will give you all you want till all you want is God. She may have even said those words. It's been so long, I don't remember. But basically, she said, when you get tired of the things, let your desire lead you upward. Let desire lead you upward. And so I began to look at my own life and see, I could look back and see how my desire to go to college, my desire to learn, my desire to broaden my horizon. I left home at a young age and moved clear across the country. That what was actually guiding and leading those things was my desire not to have more, really, but my desire to be more. Desire. So I want you to, I don't even need to say this to you, my friends, because you're already with me on this. You're already thinking about, how am I using desire in my life? And so Jane's teaching was about paying attention to that desire, also checking out, is this desire coming from the ego self? Is this desire coming from the higher self? Is it to have more, or is it to be more? And of course, the higher desire is about being more. Yeah. Charles Fillmore, Unity's co-founder, said, desire is the onward impulse of the ever-evolving soul. And Jane Elizabeth, not only was she an undercover agent for God, she was also a licensed Unity teacher and ran this, what was called the Center for Enlightenment, for many years. What she would say, though, is the Center for Enlightenment is in you. It's not a place. It's not a place. The Center for Enlightenment is in you. And she felt that was all our ultimate desire was to know God. That's our desire, to know God. In Jane's teaching, she helped me see the connection of all religions and also understand how the Eastern teachings of karma, of reincarnation, how all of these things help me understand actually my Christian faith even better. It didn't take me away. It helped my faith in God deepen, and it helped me understand more deeply the works that Jesus did, his miracles, his sayings. I understood the culture in which Jesus came from more. So desire is the thing pulling you forward, my friends. So as you are seeking a new way, as you're seeking a new job, as you're seeking new opportunities in your life, as you're seeking relationship or wholeness in a certain area. What you're really seeking is your connection with God. And that is the desire for God to be made manifest in this area of your life. But that desire moving you forward is truly, truly the desire for God. And so we don't want to minimize that. It is super important that we listen to what are the desires of our heart? What is calling us forward? And then once we're clear on that, another point she taught me was on commitment. You must commit to the path that you say, you're on. If you have desire but no commitment, that's called a wish. That's not commitment to the path. It's just an empty wish. That's a wish upon a star, kind of pie in the sky wish. But desire matched with commitment equals soul growth and evolution. It means you're going to move forward in some kind of powerful way when you could commit to the goal, the desire that you have, and stay consistent to the path. In other words, you commit to your time of daily meditation, that you commit to a time of journaling and going inward so that you're connecting with your higher self. You're connecting with the higher energies as you navigate life. That the desire to be more matched with your commitment is what will bring the more forward for you. Yeah. So desire and commitment go hand in hand. If you were on the journey of soul growth and evolution. And I believe, along with Jane, that we are here to grow, to prosper, and to evolve. I believe that we are here as souls to not just work, pay taxes, and die, but that life is supposed to be a grand adventure, that life is to be lived, life is to be loved, life is to be embraced. And as that desire and commitment take us forward, it's going to bring us into change. It's going to bring us into change. Change, as we have said most recently on a show, is change is the language of the soul. When there's change, it means the soul is being called into its expansive awareness. So change is a language of the soul. Change, as you become serious and committed to the spiritual journey, change becomes something not that we fear, but that we initiate, because we know if we get too sedentary, too comfortable, that we are ceasing to grow. And yes, there's a time of ebb and flow, and there's a time of integrating some of the change. But by and large, as spiritual souls, as one area, we're maybe holding steady and integrating what might be time for another area to grow, to move us forward. And so, my friends, think about this, about change. Are you being called somehow into change at a deeper level? Are you resisting change? Or is your soul hungering change and it's waiting on you to take some decisive action? Because the desire and commitment are going to bring change. But if you don't take the action, the change cannot be held for you. There's another thing Jane taught me about, which I forgot all about until this moment, Sean. I didn't put this in the notes, so I may want to add it. But Jane would talk to me about windows of opportunity. And so when we're going along the journey, we're nurturing that holy desire, we're committing to the practice every day, and we're moving into change. Well, there comes a time when a window of opportunity opens. And when that window opens, the spiritual work is to walk through it, right? To take that window of opportunity. Sometimes it feels like we're jumping through it. And that's often the vision I get. It's like, oh, there's my window of opportunity. I'm going to take it. Sometimes it's not as big as a door. We talk about, one door closes, another door opens. But the idea is that as we initiate change, we create these windows of opportunity for our soul journey. The issue becomes if you don't take the window of opportunity, it may not open again. It may not open again. And I remember when Jane first told me that, I thought, oh my goodness, I don't want to miss my opportunity for growth. So it made me become more aware of when these windows of opportunity open, my work is to really take spiritually guided action and move forward. To take spiritually guided action and take that window of opportunity. And I want to pause for a minute to say that I've had people question this teaching and say, what do you mean? God loves us, blah, blah, blah. Oh, it's true. God loves us. And it's also true. God has eternity. But these windows of opportunity don't stay open forever, because if we don't take them, it means in consciousness, we're not there. And so I'm not saying it as a pejorative that, oh, you missed your window of opportunity, but I'm saying the window will not be open forever. And so if the window of opportunity opens, it's time to take it. It's time to take it. And, that takes a great deal of courage. That takes a great deal of commitment to the journey. It takes a belief in your desire, right? So see how all of these things go together: desire, commitment, change, taking spiritually guided action towards that window of opportunity. But it is important to know and to simply be aware that sometimes the window of opportunity doesn't open again for many, many years. And so we don't want to miss that opportunity. That's not a punishment. That's simply something to be aware of as you grow and mature in consciousness, that as the window of opportunity opens, it is important to take spiritually guided action and move forward. This type of activity, this type of trust really comes with committing to the process and being in a like-minded group of individuals that can help you navigate this at times. When I first started working with Jane many years ago, I had just moved to Kansas City, as I mentioned. I had just begun working at one of the largest churches in the movement. And I say that because I was so awed by the church, not to brag in any way. I had a small job in the large scheme of things, but I was really honored to be there and receive all the resources. And so when I first moved to Kansas City, I mentioned Jane was working at Unity Village. Shortly after that, she retired. And even though she had done classes in her home and I saw her for one-on-one counseling in her home, she eventually opened the Center for Enlightenment at the Unity Church where I was employed. And so I would work all day, have a quick dinner, and then go down to her class 2 nights a week. Tuesday night was a class on a topic. All the topics I've been talking about today are, examples. And then on Thursday night, we would meditate. And so initially, when I would hear these ideas, it's much like you're hearing them on the podcast. I would hear the idea and I would try to apply it to my life. I would hear the idea and I would, do my best to, throughout the week, see how it would come forward for me, see what I could learn or, garner from the teaching. But the deeper I got in the teaching, I discovered that it did help to have a group of individuals that I could work with on it. And so I became close friends with many of the people in the group because we had the same desire. Everyone that I met in her group had the desire to grow, had the desire to know God above all else, and ultimately a desire to serve God in a really meaningful way. And it didn't mean that all those people wanted to be ministers. One was a counselor, another was a minister, one, was in landscaping. Somebody else was in customer service, somebody else was a therapist, all different backgrounds. But my point in saying this is that the gift of being a part of a group of like-minded individuals cannot be overstated. The support for the journey, the awareness of these windows of opportunities. Because what would happen when we'd get together, outside of class or even during class, if there was time for question, and normally there wasn't. Normally we would mostly just listen, and later we would chat and we would talk about where we were on our journey, and that's what helped the teachings really deepen. And my friends, I to this day would tell anyone who asked, probably the single most important individual in how I teach, the spiritual teachings I teach, is Jane Elizabeth Hart. And it is because she is rooted in Christianity. We even had a very similar background in the church. She was very, very involved in the church. And then her journey deepened and broadened to such an expansive way that it was bigger than any denomination. And that's where I feel mine is as well. And I know many of you listening, that your God experience is bigger than any church, even any unity church. But what I find is that unity as a teaching is the closest to what I experience spiritually. So I'm happy and delighted to be there. But I wanted to say all that because I want you to think about being involved in a group of like-minded people. And I love that you listen to the show. I love that I can support you, and Sean supports you too. I know. But I really want to encourage you to deepen your awareness of your spirituality by getting involved with a group of individuals. You can do it through my mastermind group. You can do it through my courses online. You can do it through Unity of Daytona Beach, where I serve as senior minister. You can find a local community, and you can create your own community. That would be wonderful too. One time I had somebody reach out. I don't know. It seems like this was about 1.5 years ago. And they said, "We've been studying your book. Would you be willing to come to a class online for me and all my students?" And I said, "Of course, I'd love that." And what a blessing. A teacher took it upon herself to buy my book, to see the value in the principles, to begin studying it, and then asked me to come. So they were already speaking the language when I came in, to work with them. But what I noticed is that they already had such a beautiful working knowledge of the material. They were already embodying the teaching. So my friends, this is my hope for you, that you will do some of this deeper work in consciousness. And it's very, very difficult to be alone in your spiritual journey. That said, ultimately, it is a solitary journey in the work that you do, but others are needed on the path for love, for support, for encouragement, for inspiration. And my friends, this is what is going to support your journey most. Is, yes, you have to first have the spiritual teaching, but then having this group of people that support your soul growth and evolution, that remind you of your goodness, your wholeness, and that you must commit to that higher desire, that desire to know God, and that change is a part of the curriculum. Change is going to move you forward. And that when those windows of opportunity open, you got to take it. You got to take it. So my friends, this is my hope for you, that you will continue to grow and mature in consciousness, that you will continue to know that you are a soul here to grow, prosper, and evolve. You are here to experience God and know God. And you're here to grow past what you have known so far. You are here to do the work of your soul. And my friends, I know you join me in blessing and honoring my spiritual teacher, who I was with for many, many years as a teacher, Jane Elizabeth Hart. And I know her message to you would be: desire God, commit to the journey, not only embrace change, but initiate change, and then take spiritually guided action as the window of opportunity opens. So my friends, I'm going to pray with and for you in this, and I'm going to honor your journey with this. I'm going to see you growing and developing. I'm going to envision the fact that you want to know God, that no matter what it is you do for a living, your desire to know God is bigger than your desire to have things, that your desire is to be more, and that you're going to continue to remember this about yourself, that as you seek to move forward in life, what you're really wanting is to know God. As you commit to your journey, it is going to help you know God. As you initiate change, it's going to help you move forward on the spiritual journey. It's going to help you take spiritually guided action as that window of opportunity opens. So, my friends, thank you for helping me honor someone who is so important in my life and journey, Jane Elizabeth Hart. We love you, we bless you, and thank you for all of your support. I look forward to seeing you next week, and blessings on the journey.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Experience of the Soul with Cynthia Alice Anderson. If this message resonated with you, we invite you to share it with someone who might need it today. This show is made possible by listeners like you, and we're grateful for the community that helps keep these conversations available to all. You can learn more or contribute to the show at cynthiaaliceanderson.com/donate. Produced by Kilgore Creative and a production of the Soulworks Group Incorporated. Until next time, take good care.
My journey with Jesus has been beautiful, has been wonderful. It has been at times intense and at times distant. I want to bring you along the journey with me in hopes that it may illumine your journey on the path to Christ consciousness. I am going to share my journey as I always am seeking to deepen my spiritual connection with Jesus the Christ. So my friends, I look forward to joining you in class with the Yeshua Dialogues coming up on Monday, June 8th. Blessings on the journey, my friends.
A live one-night only online event. Register today at cynthiaaliceanderson.com.